Hi, I'm Milla and welcome to another Milla's Game Room video. In this video I'm going to be ranking my top 10 games on the Nintendo Switch, aka from this gorgeous wall behind me, because it's, as you can see, quite a lot of stuff, which are, well, I've not played it all. So this is going to be a list that's basically as of July 2022. So in other words, before Xenoblade 3 comes out, and will likely remove a spot of one of these games, assuming I don't do a top 20 in the future. But that aside, I'm trying to stick to things that are exclusives or at a time were pushed as exclusives, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to make games on this list, like, in terms of the criteria, to be only things I've finished or feel confident enough to form an opinion about. So certain games I've played on the Switch are not on here. Like, for example, Shrine the Wanderer, Tower of Fortune, like, that's a great game, but I only played an hour of it worth on the Switch, so that's not going to be here. Whereas, I believe it's on my top 10 Vita list. I need to check, because I do forget what I put in my Nvidia sometimes. Little tip. Anyway, if you're going to sit back and stay tuned and relax while I talk to you about Switch games, and maybe you will find something you like, even though my list is going to be with a certain genre, because that's what I'm like. And I haven't really played enough of other games to talk about it. That's going to be a great spoiler, isn't it? Anyway, thank you and enjoy. Coming in at number 10 is Issei Lacrimosa of Dana. This is the first Ys game to be released on a Nintendo platform since the days of the Nintendo DS, and is still one of the best games I've played on it to date. You play as adult Kristen, who is like shipwrecked on an island with all the other passengers of the boat he was on. It's a very simple setup for a great story, basically. You have to go out and rescue the other castaways and find a way to get off the island, which is much harder than it sounds, actually. It's a fantastic story with the action RPG gameplay to match, badass music, simple button pressing to attack the enemies to level up, and of course, epic bosses, and a really nice visual style too. It's an absolute joy to play. At this point it is on multiple platforms, but if you're looking for the best portable version of the game, the Switch version is the way to go. Coming at number 9 is Celeste. This is an indie darling, which I wholeheartedly recommend. A lot of people already know about this game, it's great. You play as Madeline, who has to face her demons all while climbing the mountain. It's very queer, very neurodivergent, very accessible, and it oozes so much charm. It's a 2D platformer with great music and challenging difficulty, and in some ways kind of reminded me of Donkey Kong Country, which is kind of cool. And also it can be made easier, so you just like turn down the difficulty, and there's a really cool easy mode, which is one of the things the game was heavily praised for at the time, and still is. It's by far one of the best indie games of all time, potentially, and plays beautiful on the Switch. Coming in at number 8 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think most people already know what this game is. Like, even if you don't play games much, you will know what Mario Kart is. It's like one of the best selling games, one of the best games, and that kind of thing. It's support of a Wii U game, so it's technically not a new game, but for most people who've played the game, it basically is. And I played it on both the Wii U and the Switch. That said, it's low on this list because after several years, this game is starting to show its age. It's like, you can kind of tell Nintendo are just kind of trying to extend the life of it as long as possible with these DLC tracks, as they don't have the same level of quality as the base content, although they're still fun. That said, it's still a great game, a fantastic party game to bring with like your friends and family who don't play games, and also online on Twitch communities as well. And this is the best, like, in terms of official Mario Kart content, the best game to play to date, and I would recommend it to anyone. Coming in at number 7 is Shin Megami Tensei 5. This is one among the most recent games on the list, and it came out last year in 2021, but it was actually announced all the way back in 2017. It was in the original Switch reveal presentation with that teaser trailer. If you've seen the presentation, you might remember it. And it took a very long time to come out, but it was so worth it. This is a dark adventure through post-apocalyptic Tokyo, where you play as Nahabino, which is a fusion between the protagonist, and Aogami, which is another key character who's also quite demonic. Deep turn-based combat, immersive vast open world with lots of hidden treasures, and badass music, and of course lots of demons to recruit. It's such an essential title and really evolved the series significantly, especially with the open world design like I mentioned earlier. I had a ton of fun with it. It's so Moorish in the sense of you start exploring and then just get the craving to just keep going, keep looking for the treasures which are all hidden away, fighting the bosses and hoping you can find some gems, and all these side quests as well, and endings, and in fact there's lots of replay value as well, so you can play the game again and hope to get different endings and items. It's a lot of fun. I would suggest playing this docked though if you can, because this game really pushes the Switch to the limits, and you can see this most obviously in the handheld mode, like a lot of Switch games, so this is a quite essential home console experience, but you can't go wrong no matter where you play this. And at the time of making this video, it's still exclusive, even though it will probably get ported eventually, but play it anyway, it's great! Coming in at number 6 is Cupid Parasites, and this is actually another recent release as well. This game is quite different to anything else on this list because it's an otome game, and it's one of many available on the Switch, and it's so bright and colourful, and it's one of my favourites I've played to date. In this game you play as Cupid, who goes down to the human world and does some matchmaking via a matchmaking company called Cupid Corporation, undercover of course. It's so sweet, because she gets tangled up with some undateable men known as the Parasite 5 in terms of mentoring them and trying to get them a date. And this game's hilarious because it is beautiful art, some of the best OST on this list, really witty writing, great characters, lots of hidden roots and endings, and just a lot of fun. The art style is so vibrant and colourful, and it's quite unique amongst localized otome games because this was one of the first light-hearted romantic comedy games to come to the West, especially from Otomate and Idea Factory. I definitely recommend this game for VN fans, but especially Otome fans, and I do actually plan to do a full video on this game soon, so I can spread the love for Cupid. Coming at number 5 is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This game is going to be here, especially because Xenoblade 3 is just around the corner at the time of recording this. In this game you play as Rex, who goes on a quest to bring Pyra, which is the other main protagonist in the game, to a place called Elysium. After, thanks to an event, he ends up becoming a driver, which is basically a connection, if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain this in a really way anyone can understand, but it's basically they're tied together in fate now, and he basically becomes more badass, basically, more powerful sword fighter. It's really cool having a character like that with a strong sense of justice and can utilize that. In terms of the gameplay, it's an open world MMO-like design with many different locales to visit, an absolutely beautiful open world, mountains of content to complete in terms of quests, and beautiful graphics, amazing music, with so much more. It's a highly regarded RPG for a reason, and I'm glad its success helped elevate Monolith to their current position with the amazing Xenoblade 3, which is I'm just saying it's amazing, but I've not played it. But I don't care, I'm excited for it. Coming at number 4 is Dragon Quest XI-S Echoes of the Elusive Age Definitive Edition. And that's basically a great name for an even better game. And basically this was another game that was also shown the same time as SMT5, which was way off, and this was quite a big deal. It was the first portable release of Dragon Quest XI in the West. There was a Japan-only 3DS version which never came out here, and at the time was exclusive to the Switch. It combined all the content from the PS4 original with some exclusive new content added in, some fun little side stories, as well as most of the Japan-only versions content, which is from the 3DS version that we never got. That includes 2D, pixel-based modes, so you can play it as if you're playing a classic SNES era RPG, and other things too. It's an incredible game, it's got a great story, and it's got really accessible, fast turn-based gameplay, which is kind of a hybrid between an action RPG in terms of its camera angles and the turn-based mechanics of past turn-based games, including the Dragon Quest series, which is great. It will last a very long time. This easily took me over 100 hours to complete, but that was me doing all the content. You don't have to do all the content if you don't want to, it's still a fantastic game. It's not only one of the best Switch RPGs, but it's one of the best games of all time. Definitely pick this one up. It plays best on the Switch, but you can play it on all other platforms now because it's since been ported, even to the Google Stadia. Yeah, that's still a thing. Coming at number 3 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, another essential RPG, best version of Xenoblade to play. You play as Shulk, who goes on a quest to rescue his childhood friend Fiora after their home is attacked. He uses the Monado, which is a mysterious red sword. This game is quite well known too, but obviously not well known as Mario Kart 8 because I had to give an explanation for it. I will say this, so gameplay wise, it's one of the most accessible RPGs I've ever played, especially on the Switch version. You can just put the game onto the lower difficulty and just enjoy yourself in this vast, sprawling open world with epic turn-based action hybrid gameplay, all accompanied by a gripping story, and of course, incredible music and the refined visual style. And in this version, there's also the new future-connected side story, which is basically exploring the Bionis' shoulder officially and not via hacking, which is how people found out it existed in the first place, or from the Wii original. And definitely, like, it's popular for a reason. Check it out. I fucking love it. Play it, please. Coming in number 2 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is quite a familiar story. This game basically came out in March 2020, which is the onset of the pandemic, which is still ongoing, by the way, and I don't care who that upsets. It's still going, so, you know, that's a thing. And while restrictions were in place, and ended too early, people were basically stuck inside, and I went to get this game, and they played that to distract themselves. I was one of those people, and the game was incredible. It's so cute, the characters are so cute. The visuals are great. There's a huge openness of the gameplay, which you can start by raising your little island, little village, and build your own little paradise. And that includes terraforming, so you can basically customize it to your heart's content, decorate everything, do all these other things. It's just so cool, and I love it. And I definitely recommend this game. There has been new content since the original release, so things like the Happy Home Designer expansion like mode, like the island mode, which I haven't actually played much of, to be honest. This game has like hundreds of hours of replayability, so if you want a game that will last a very long time, and I know people who have literally spent over 1,000 hours of their lives playing this game, I am nowhere near that much, but you can still dig in, get it, it's great. Still one of the best games on the Switch, definitely dig in, it's fantastic. Coming in number 1 is Super Mario Odyssey, which this is number 1, so it shouldn't really surprise anyone considering it's my list. Mario games have almost always delivered, and this one is basically no exception. You play as Mario, who meets Cappy, a mysterious, ghosty-like creature from a hat kingdom, who then, when thrown, allows Mario to possess objects and enemies, including classic Mario NPCs, from Goombas to charging Chucks. It's a simple mechanic that makes this game feel so fresh compared to previous games, because you, instead of using power-ups and items, you can basically take on these enemies, and it just makes it feel fresh. You get to actually adopt the position of these enemies, and as well as objects, there's even an optional RC car mode, which is so cool. And I haven't even talked about the settings yet, but there's a huge variety of settings and magic, such as New Donk City, which is basically New York, where you combine with meeting Pauline from the original Donkey Kong way back in the 1980s, which is so cool. And then other things, the amazing Fossil Kingdoms, the Cascade Kingdoms, beautiful locales, the incredible music, and the visuals that look absolutely incredible, even better than 3D World, which was the previous 3D Mario debut in HD, which is just it's just fantastic, and it's a masterpiece, and I can't recommend this game enough. And that is my list, which honestly isn't too surprising when you consider what I'm into. And I love this console. I plan to play more games on it, way more games on it, especially the last few years, really digging down with other libraries. And also with the Switch, I do want to play more, not just Xenoblade 3, but other backlogged RPGs that are on the platform. Catch up with the Trail series on there, for example. More indies, of course, more VNs, of course, especially games that have gotten Switch ports that haven't been released yet, or only released in Japan, in Japanese, and also fan translations too. Like Umineko Gold, for example, now has a fan translation on the Switch that's complete, and Dokapon Up. And there's going to be quite a lot, and I do want to add, and in a couple of years, or maybe even a year, I'll do an updated top 20, or something like that, which will be for the future, the unknown future. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, it helps a lot, algorithm and all that, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.